Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our first NBC Weekend Review, brought to you by First NBC Bank, with locations all throughout the greater New Orleans area and beyond. First NBC Bank. Super Bowl is history, and the game turned out to be two different games. Really a good game overall when you combine the two games. Unfortunately, it will be remembered for the power outage. First on the game, Lenny, clearly the Ravens were in total control. The delay hits, and then the 49ers were really in total control. Certainly it had an impact on changing momentum, but you still have to play, and you've got to give both teams credit.
You really do. And the thing is, with San Francisco, as explosive as they are, with the scheme that they run and the talent that they have on offense, you really couldn't count them out of the game. We saw what they did, in the NFC Championship game, making a comeback against the Falcons, and you knew perhaps they were capable of doing that, and maybe it just gave them another chance to calm down when the outage hit, coming back out after halftime, because they really did get punched in the mouth again by Jacoby Jones, the New Orleans native, with the kickoff return to start the second half. So all of a sudden now, instead of it being 21-6, now it's 28-6. Maybe gave them a chance to calm down, and indeed, they came out and turned this into one heck of a game, and just couldn't make a play in a goal-to-go situation. The Ravens with some huge stops in the red zone, and that turned out to be the story of this game.
Yeah, borrowing a little pun, I guess I would say that the 49ers hit the reset button after the power outage, I suppose. But the bottom line was they had a great chance to win the game. And to me, and it's not a second guess, I said it at the time, how Gore doesn't touch the ball after he makes that run down to the 7-yard line, how Vernon Davis doesn't touch the ball, it's mystifying to me. How they end up having to take a timeout prior to a third down play, not knowing what they want to do. I just thought they completely mismanaged the final 4 plays of that series, which had them poised to win this Super Bowl.
Exactly. And, you would think in that situation, you know some of the things that you want to run in the red zone. They'd been down there, though, quite a few times, and not had much success. So, maybe it left them second-guessing themselves a little bit in terms of what they felt like they could do. A lot of blame is going to be thrown around. Maybe it's the play calls, maybe it's Michael Crabtree, maybe it's Randy Moss, maybe it's Colin Kaepernick, whatever the case may be. I think you've got a good point, though. How does Frank Gore not touch the ball in that situation?
Well, they're killing them up front, and Haloti Ngata was out of the game. Why not that counterplay that they scored on earlier in the game, among other things, but more than that, just to give him the ball. Look, I can understand him being out of the game on first down after the 33-yard run, and they run little LaMichael James inside. He's not going to get anywhere with that. He did make 2 yards, but then get Gore back in the game, and he's got to touch the ball. I mean, you're in 4-down territory. You've got 3 more downs. You've got to at least give him a chance one more time, don't you?
You would think so, but hey, we can, we could talk about these things until, August comes around and we start watching football again.
And by the way, they burned the timeout when they couldn't get their playoff, which killed them at the end when they could have had that timeout to have an extra play or two. So I'm just saying, because it was a field goal margin, but didn't happen. They didn't get that opportunity back. So great game, though. Joe Flacco, MVP. Listen, he played great and deserves it. But you and I both agree that Jacoby Jones of New Orleans may have deserved that MVP honor.
You look at what Jones did in this game, 290 yards, all-purpose yards, or combined yards, as the NFL calls it, a Super Bowl record, the big pass play right before halftime, the kickoff return to start the second half, arguably the 2 biggest plays of the game, and hey, you go with quarterbacks more often than not, it seems, and that's what ended up being the choice in this case.
One of the things that I think came out of this game is that both defenses were exposed. These are supposed to be 2 elite defenses in this league. The 49ers have trouble in space covering receivers. That is now obvious. And the Ravens, well, they're just getting old. And Ed Reed's a free agent. He's not likely to be back. Ray Lewis is done. So I think moving forward, these are 2 really good teams, Lenny. But I think that that whole concept of intimidation with these defenses that are impregnable, I think that's gone.
Yeah, and I mean that's one of the things as you continue to see, whether it's schemes, whether it's players, whatever, you do find out more and more, and you learn more, and people figure it out. I think that's a lot of what with this pistol, this spread option, this read option, all the different names that we hear for it. This over the course of this year. What defensive coordinators get back in the film room this offseason and start figuring some things out? See, Baltimore allowed a lot of yards Sunday night, but at the same time, when they needed to, they made some key stops against that offense,
Yeah,
too.
and they got 2 turnovers, which clearly was a difference in the game, along with the kickoff return by Jones. That's why they won the game. Then the other story, of course, finally, is the power outage. And it's going to be talked about. We can't avoid it. It is embarrassing. It's tough to talk about. We don't know the answers. Doug Thornton is speaking today and maybe saying it's external rather than internal. In other words, a power company issue rather than a Superdome issue. He claims that they used actually less lighting than they use for Saints games because of generator power. Now, we don't know yet. We haven't gotten to the bottom of it. Bottom line is that you'll have a culprit eventually. This cannot happen. It's inexcusable in a stage, in a situation such as this. The good news is Roger Goodell did say on Monday that it will not impact New Orleans' chances of getting another Super Bowl.
You hope it's 2018. I got to tell you, the host committee did an unbelievable job. For 3.5 years getting us to that point. The analogy I used earlier was like, New Orleans ran a marathon for the last 3.5 years and tripped and fell 3 steps from the finish line. That's basically what you dealt with here, and you hope that it's not a black eye on New Orleans and that people will see that, hey, these kind of things can happen. Look, you're going to play a game in cold weather next year. You don't think power lines freeze and things like that? It was 25 degrees in New York on February 2nd, 2013. Let's see what the weather's going to be like on February 2nd, 2014 when that game is played outdoors in the Meadowlands next year.
Well, I was tweeting all the titles last night. That's the night that the lights went out in Georgia. Obviously the lights by Journey, when the lights go down in the city and everything else. But ultimately, Dr. John fit very well. Such a night, sweet confusion under the moonlight, indoors.
Indoors, yeah. We just needed the moon. That's all who knows? You could have done a lot of things and maybe just flown lights overhead and started playing again. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe that retractable roof stadium will be here before we know it. But all in all, to kind of put a bow on this thing, it was a terrific week for the city of New Orleans, and you hope that 34 minutes is not a black eye for everything that happened over the course of the week.
I'm with you. Great week. Let's hope it happens again soon. Great game, too. Lenny, thank you. Have a good day.
We'll see you later this week.
That's our First NBC Weekend Review brought to you by First NBC Bank. Thanks for being with us. Have a blessed day. See you next time.